Greetings to the Innate Secrets podcast, and today I want to address the topic of outcomes. This is a place where those who suspect they're innately wise, brilliant and powerful come to learn how to transform their lives, one cognition, one realization and one blinding flash of the obvious at a time. We are the innovators, the record breakers, the world makers and creators of all kinds. We supersede the suppressive worldview of mass ignorance and awaken the strength within. We are waking up to our innate secrets. My name is Dr. Mark Postles and welcome to the Innate Secrets podcast. An outcome is often confused with a goal. It can be used interchangeably too, so I want to make this distinction to start with that an outcome in this discussion is a direction that you're going. A goal is a specific, tangible point that you're going to, right? So an outcome is based on the overriding purpose and the why, the big why of why you're doing what you're doing. And that is uncovered and discovered as you go through an intellectual dissection of life and what is so for you. So you have a purpose. You have I like to refer to it as a song in your heart. It's something within you that just resonates, and it could be, I just want to help people. I just want to get this particular idea out there. I feel like my whole life's mission is to create this given thing. So that's a purpose. Now, an outcome is how you're going to take that purpose and keep track in the most efficacious way. So in other words, you're going to be going in a certain direction. It's like saying, okay, my outcome is to go west. So west, you never get to west. I mean, west is always west, but it keeps you on a track. And you could veer, you could go to the north, you could go to the south, you could go to the northeast and southwest and southwest, but you keep coming back to west. You keep moving it always back to west. You could be seen to be going backwards at times, and you may well be. But because you have an outcome, the outcome draws you. So you're creating something that actually draws at a far greater level than just a tangible thing. So there are some conditions that are useful when it comes to creating outcomes. I wanted to go through each of those. So we just look at the steps in terms of the outcomes towards where you want to go. Remember, the goals are the tangibles along the way. So firstly, I say, well, what do I want? So, it's like, make sure that you have a positive. It's not like, I just don't want to be fat. I want to be trim. It's like, what do you want? Put it in positive terms. Get as clear as you can. Where do you want it and when do you want it? What's the essence of this outcome? And remember, it's beyond the goals. Though the goals are along the way. So it's if I don't want that, what do I want? Go through a process of elimination on this one. Now, the next question is, well, is it achievable? Is it something which I am capable of getting done? Is it possible for a human being to achieve this outcome? Certainly, if it's been done by someone else, then it would be, in theory, possible for you to do it. Now, obviously, if you want to be, the outcome was to be an amazing basketballer, and you're 4 foot tall, then there's going to be some challenges within that. It's not impossible because there are, I'm sure, 4 foot tall basketball leagues. However, to be a Michael Jordan or to have the capabilities of someone at the top of the tree is an outcome which could be quite frustrating if that was your situation. So, is it achievable? Is it something that's realistic? And so you've got to put it within the context of human possibility. The next question one would ask themselves is, well, what will I accept as evidence that I've achieved my outcome? And there's an evidence base that goes along with it. And say, to use that previous example, the compass would indicate that relative to where you were, you're more west. Now, as I said, you could vary in your location, but you're still heading west. So make sure that this is a sensory-based evidence procedure, and that you can look back and you can see where you've come and how far you've come. Because this is often a point of irritation for people, because you keep looking at the horizon keeps disappearing, or you've only got a limited distance of on the horizon, and sometimes we get despondent because we're heading in a certain direction of our outcome, but we can't see it, and we keep moving towards it. We seem to be doing a lot of effort and energy, and it's always still to come. Whereas if we look behind us from time to time, we have a reference point, and we say, wow, I've come this far, the 14 miles, whatever the horizon is, I've traveled this far, and that becomes a useful construct along the way. And then you might ask, well, is achieving this outcome within my control? And very often, people will create huge frustration in their lives because they set outcomes that are way beyond their control. It relies on others. An outcome of a group of people to do something. There's a limitation to that. They're not necessarily well formed, and that becomes frustrating. It's a challenge when someone else has to do something for you to complete your outcome. So be aware of that. Be aware of the control factor within the outcomes that you have. And then, are the costs and the consequences of attaining the outcome acceptable? Because whenever we move, we leave where we are. And if we're on a journey for an outcome that is maybe not consistent with outcomes of those around us, then we're going to be leaving those people on this journey, on this outcome that we're involved in some way. It doesn't mean we're physically leaving them forever, but we have to split up. It means that we have to set up new agreements. There's a cost to that. There's you set up an outcome to study something, and instead of maybe spending time with your friends and time with your family, you got your nose in the book or on the computer studying whatever it is that you're studying, because that is part of your outcome. So there's a cost, there's a consequence, and sometimes the outcome may not be worth the time and the effort and maybe the money that one might have to do in order to get that outcome. And other times it's like the outcome makes it worthwhile. So in other words, you have to give up something, but you're investing in yourself. And I think this is something that we often lose sight of, is that there's so much information around us that we can either ignore it and just stay in our own little bubble, or we can stretch ourselves and look at the outcomes that we're after and look at what it's going to take in terms of investment in ourselves and maybe in third parties around us and our environment to create the outcome, or to get on the journey of the outcome that we've established. So look at the risk and the reward and the cost and the benefits of making this particular choice, because everything has a positive and a negative. It's a two-sided coin. So then I would suggest that we look at the resources that you need to achieve the outcome. So what resources are you lacking? What resources do you know that you need to have right now in order to make the first step? And really, this, in terms of an outcome, this is the critical thing. A lot of people will spend a lifetime planning and a lifetime wishing and visualizing and hoping that they get a certain outcome. But the real, where the rubber meets the road is in the first step. and then the next step. So do you have the resources and the willingness and the ability to take those steps? And this would be in terms of the knowledge, the belief structure. I mean, often a belief structure will stop us from going for what we say we want. You know, we could have an outcome to be affluent and to have a legacy, and maybe just on financial terms for our family. Our knowledge could be lacking in terms of the process of creating that. You know, $1, €1, £1 at a time. Our belief structure may hold us back. Our belief structure is incredibly powerful, and we'll cover this one in much more detail within Innate Secrets. And that can sabotage those steps. It can sabotage us even gaining the knowledge, self-worth, our stories that we tell ourselves. Then the objects and the obstacles that are in the way, some of the premises that may be involved, some of the people that may stand in our way, and also stand there ready to assist us that we haven't asked for. You know, we haven't even approached others to assist us. So, and obviously money and time and so forth. So there's a lot of resources that you will need to achieve the outcome. And it's about being strategic with this. And this is what the theme of this series currently is that, hey, what's the strategy? You know, you get a philosophy, but then what's your outcome? Where are you going? And I guess that, you know, the real crunch of this one, it does lend into the discussion on the value one has for himself, but it's like, well, if I could have it now, would I take it? You know, if it really is that important, is it something that you would accept right now? And there are a number of factors that come with this that big considerations, because if we're, you know, living in a hovel and we decide to head in a certain direction of affluence and influence, there's a number of factors there that would be dangerous for us to do that. So that we to leave the safety of our bubble and to travel in a direction that is unknown and unproven, and yet there's a stirring in our heart for it. There's this purpose that's driving us to do that. And it means maybe leaving our current environment. It may be leaving the safety of our group, and you know, you may be the leader of the group, and so there's an ecological factor there. You know, there's costs and consequences of that. There's the shunning of the group, maybe the ability to go beyond the current known norms, you know, the current tribe. And so these costs and these consequences of banishment and of having to, you know, go by this bigger vision can create an upset in one's environment, and certainly the third parties are involved in that. So be aware then that it's not all a bed of roses, and I think this is why a lot of us at times get hung up on moving towards our outcomes and being congruent with our outcomes, because there are so many things that can hold us back, the familiarity of that normalcy. So this would be a useful exercise then over the upcoming days, weeks and months. And maybe to simplify that, I'd just say, look, ask yourself a few questions here. Look, firstly, what do you want? You know, what is the outcome? What are you after? Where do you really want to go? Where do you want to take your life? And then, why do you want to do it? Now, this is to reflect back onto your purpose. So the purpose is established as you're starting to gather in the quadrant 1 part of a brain, and then we say, well, what do I want? This is a defining factor here with outcomes. This is quadrant 2, and this is part of the strategy. This is part of building our direction. And then let's look at the things that could block or stop us. Because if we're prepared for upsets and issues to come along, we can then create a plan B. We can then look at the things that we could do to avert that, and how we would handle that. What are the situations that would come up that we could then deal with it? And then let's go into an action plan. Let's start to plan this out, look at proceduralization of what do you need to do. It could be to, complete what you're doing right now. It could be to look at an exit strategy. It could be to gather more information. It could be to take a series of action steps along the way that would be leading you in the direction of this outcome. In other words, leading you west. And there could be a time involved. There could be money involved. For me, when I first discovered that, and it was a very, very clear indication to me of my why, I realized that I had to gather the resources together in order to even get to college, in order to go through the education process of becoming a chiropractor. And that involved getting approved by the National Association to become a student. That included me getting money, and I had $4 to my name at that point in time. And that included me then having to go and pick apples, to save up $80 to get on a ship to get to Australia, to hitch across the country, to work in the mines for 6 months to get the money, then to get another ship up to the States to enroll in chiropractic college. I mean, there was an action plan there, and it took over nearly 18 months to do that. But that was a process. I knew my outcome. And it didn't just stop there. Obviously, the outcome keeps getting reinvented, because west is west is west, And so the critical thing on this one, though, and the thing that probably holds most of us up at some point in our lives, is the first step. So make sure that your first step is clear, it's concise, and that you go into action today. There's no excuse for not taking the first step today. It could be a phone call, it could be a discussion, it could be a discipline within you to do this today, do this right now. So I challenge you right now to commit yourself to these steps, these actions, and look at today, what is it that you're going to do to take you in the direction of your outcome. Let us show you how to fire your brain in ways that serve you, so that you can be confident, connected, and bring joy and passion into what you do every day. Get a free copy of my book, The Innate Model. Go to theinnatemodel.com/free book.